Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Join the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome back for another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I'm your host, Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, it's co-host, it's Padawan J.
Hello, hello.
And the other co-host, it's your coach. It is my coach. It is the coach, Coach Duffy.
What is going on, everybody?
Folks, we have a lot to talk about in the land of sports, so definitely join in the conversation. You can find our social media accounts on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. And remember to use the hashtag ODPH when you join in, because we definitely want to interact with you. Unfortunately, the biggest sports story of the week is the untimely death of NBA superstar legend Kobe Bryant. Kobe, along with his 13-year-old daughter and 7 other passengers, were killed in a helicopter crash on Sunday. Shocked, saddened, stunned, a lot of emotions going on with this. Resonating throughout the entire sports world and around the entire world.
Around the entire world. And, you know, I can't take credit for this comparison. I saw this on Reddit, and it struck me as, you know, very true that, you know, it's hard to compare this death in sports because I would say the last major sports death like this was maybe Thurman Munson, you know, back in the day. Mm. But in terms of, like, you know, this is kind of like if you've ever seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, this is kind of like when, you know, spoiler alert, Peter Parker dies in the beginning of it. And the entire world just stops because Spider-Man has died. That, you know, a hero has died. And you can arguably say a similar situation has happened with Kobe, that, you know, somebody who, you know, the circle of people he has interacted with or have interacted with him is admittedly small, but his circle of people he has influenced is very large and has affected a great number of people.
Coach, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so if I get long-winded here and take it, like I texted you guys that this was going to be therapy in a way for me because I haven't been able to deal with it. You know, I was a big Kobe fan. I wore number 8 when I played travel basketball my first year, which was actually his would have been his 3rd season in the NBA. I had his 2nd pair of Adidas. Loved Kobe, you know, even though we're Knicks fans, you know, I always grew up respecting greatness, you know, from years of watching Jordan just demoralize the Knicks, you know, for years, and I never appreciated it. And then, you know, when Kobe came in the league and everything, and you saw the level of talent and everything, you know, you just, as a Knicks fan, I think you just kind of learn to appreciate greatness. Like, you see it differently because you had to see Jordan 4 times a year plus the playoffs. So even though Kobe was on the West Coast, you know, and we couldn't see it that often on TV, we still saw it, and you still knew what it was.
Yeah.
So I absolutely, you know, admired him and everything, and so from the jersey to the shoes to you know, present day. When so I'm gonna get personal here. It's a safe spot, and I'm gonna do it because I gotta let it off.
Absolutely, man.
When I was from senior year to freshman year of college, or whatever, my high school girlfriend and I, who I dated for many of years, we were breaking up, and it was difficult. We had dated for 3 years, and Kobe was going through his stuff in Colorado, and there was a quote that he had that said, you know, and I can't remember it, and I tried to find it today to put it on the show, but I couldn't find it. So I'll paraphrase here. But I printed it out, and I had it above my bed. And the quote was, you know, that the only place that he felt safe or at home was on the basketball court. Like that, with everything that was going on, he could always go back to the basketball court and feel at home.
Everything that was going on that, if I remember right, took, like 14 months to finally resolve itself out. So it was a long process.
Long process, but that was his safe haven, was the basketball court. So for me, during that time, the words resonated with me because while we were going through our stuff, I had lacrosse. And I dove headfirst into it, played so many games that summer, like my head was spinning, but I needed the distraction, and so those words resonated with me, and Kobe resonated with me, even though the situations were night and day different. But his, you know, being able to find a place that was safe and comfortable for you during a hard time was something that, I needed. And then, flash forward to the retirement. And, I mean, we were at my 10-year-old's basketball game when this all see.
No,
I mean, we were there. Like people think I'm it's crazy, but you didn't take this is what you didn't take a helicopter to the game. Obviously, I know this, but it's the reality and the surrealness that I was doing the same thing that they were going to do. We were at a basketball game for my daughter, and I just didn't want to believe it. It was TMZ who reported it, and I was like, this can't not be real. Like, please don't be real. Yeah. I tried pulling up the website, and it went to like a 404 page can't be found. And I was like,
crashed.
All right, thank God. Like, I was like, I screamed in the gym. I was like, thank God this isn't real.
Yeah.
And then I clicked the link again, and it happened. And it pulled up, and I was like, no, like, say this isn't so. And and I was lost. Like, that whole Sunday, I was lost just because of what. And I've never met him, and I've never been in the same building as him, and I've never anything. But what he meant to me, I mean, I wear his basketball shoes to this day. Yeah. I have a pair of Kobe 5s or whatever, the fifth version of the Nikes. And it was so shocking. And my whole Sunday, like, I was, I texted you guys, and I said, thank God the Rumble's tonight.
Yeah.
Because I needed some. I told my wife, I go, I can't take any more. But I couldn't stop watching because I couldn't believe it. And, then flash forward to last night, all Monday morning, I was lost. All Monday morning, I was a shell of myself because I couldn't concentrate. Every time you pull up a social media or anything, even, or randomly you just start thinking about it.
Yeah.
And, Monday morning was lost, and then finally my daughter was playing in the halftime of the Seton varsity game, and, and she doesn't, she might not get it. She might, I don't know. I'm not inside her head, but, the UConn was wearing, they put the number 2 jersey for Gianna out, and so I approached her with her game that she had, and, she's wearing number 27, which she didn't want, which was accidentally picked for her, and I said, Olivia, you want to wear number 2 tonight for the game? She, why, Dad? Well, this is Gianna Bryant's number. This is the number she wore. The little girl could have been same situation. Could have been you, and me going to one of your games out in Windsor in the middle of the night. It's a reality. And so I asked her, and at first she was like, I don't know, Dad. Like, why? Like, will anybody get it? I'm like, that's not the point. Like, this is a very nice tribute that you can do. I can't wear a jersey number, but if I could, I probably would, wear something for him tonight if I played, and she thought about it, and I showed her the video of the UConn thing, and she goes, yeah, Dad, I will. And it took it didn't take convincing, but it took, helping her understand the levity of everything. And then my favorite part, because nobody got it. I don't think anybody understood. We had to tape over the 7. I don't think anybody got it, but I appreciated that she did it. And then when we got home, I was getting ready to take the tape off of her jersey, and she stopped. She goes, Dad, what are you doing? I said, well, just taking the tape off. Like, you don't want to wear tape on your jersey. She goes, why? And you don't want tape on there. Like, what do you? She goes, no, leave it on. I want to wear 2 for the rest of the year. And that was great.
Yeah, no, it was a really cool tribute that I saw when you were posting on social media about too. Yeah, when this news hit, I was actually at the where Vinny, our friend, is currently doing some rehabilitation and such. So when we were chatting up and just talking about like the Royal Rumble and everything, the phone started blowing up and everybody's like, Kobe died, and I'm like, what? Get out of here. Like, what are you talking about? And immediately started doing the web search. Yeah. And Vin and I both were like, wait, Kobe Bryant died? Like, it didn't sit in because it was just like he was just on TV congratulating LeBron.
Right. Yeah.
For overtaking him in the scoring title.
It's all-time scoring list.
Thank you. So it was just so surreal. And then, once we saw Variety was reporting on it, Power 105 was reporting it on their Facebook page, New York Post was reporting it. It was like, my God, and especially with how it happened too, just, a terrible helicopter crash, 9 people were killed as more reports were coming out. And just as a human being, just hearing that happen to anybody,
Right.
Yeah.
You sit there and go, how and why? And just, it doesn't sink in. And I think I was numb for a good portion of Sunday. Not going to lie. Just surreal. This happened, let alone to somebody that we use sports as an escapism. And I do a lot too. When I've had family members pass away and most notably my dad did, I really just started focusing on sports and really kind of, shifted a lot of attention to that. How you look at the players and you look at games and just kind of just lose what's going on in the real world for a couple hours.
Sure.
Each day. And just, it's kind of, I don't want to say therapeutic, but it's just something that alleviates, what's going on with your real life.
Just it's a welcome distraction.
Yeah. It's a welcome distraction. And then especially for growing up as a basketball fan.
Right.
It's something you touched upon too. And I know I was having this discussion with Pad too at the Royal Rumble watch party. For me, growing up in the era, I grew up in the Jordan era.
Right.
And I've seen Jordan play. And that is when you listen to the show, and you can go through the backlog of the show, we refer to the greatest era of basketball as the 90s era. When you had Jordan, you had Charles Barkley, you had the great Knicks teams.
Yeah, you had
Reggie Miller.
Houston.
Yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Portland with a run during that time.
Yeah. I mean, when you have that era of basketball, and that's what I grew in, that's when I fell in love with the game. When Jordan and all those great players started retiring, because let's face it, there's only one person that's undefeated, and that's Father Time. There was a point where somebody was going to either step up and take over the role of Jordan to a degree, and somebody that was going to be influenced by him. And you have to say Kobe was that player.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know, Pad, you've talked about this too. You didn't see Jordan play, but you grew up with Kobe.
No, yeah, I mean, just to run through, mini obituary for Kobe. Kobe was, of course, born on August 23rd, 1978 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Came out of high school from Lower Merion in Pennsylvania. Was drafted in the 1996 NBA draft, first round, 13th pick. Interestingly enough, by the Charlotte Hornets. Not a lot of people know that. Of course, he was a lifelong Laker, but he was originally drafted by the Charlotte Hornets and later traded that night. Was a 5-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, NBA MVP, 18-time All-Star, 4-time All-Star Game MVP, 11-time All-NBA First Team, 2-time All-NBA Second Team, 2-time All-NBA Third Team, 9-time All-NBA All-Defensive First Team, 3-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team, 2-time NBA Scoring Champion, was the Slam Dunk Contest Champion in 1997, NBA All-Rookie Second Team in 97, had both of his numbers 8 and 24 retired by the Lakers, was the Naismith Prep Player of the Year in 1996, and then was also the First Team Parade All-American in 1996, and also was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist with the United States. No, yeah, I mean, to your point, I was born in 1989, so I'm, 30 years old, and, I never watched Jordan play, just because the bulk of his career was while I was too young to even comprehend anything. And really the first sports event that I remember, knowing about or semi-paying attention to, even though I didn't watch any of it, was, Super Bowl 32 with, the Packers and the Broncos, John Elway versus Brett Favre. And, I remember knowing that game was going on and asking my dad before I went to bed, who's winning, but I really didn't care or pay attention to sports really until, the early 2000s, 2003, 4, 5 era. The first NBA season or NBA finals I can really remember paying attention to was when Kobe and the Lakers went in and played, who was it, the Pistons?
Yep.
With the Shaq and Kobe and Malone and those guys.
Payton. Yep.
And Gary Payton. So I never really got to see Jordan play, because by the time I really started paying attention to basketball or sports, Jordan was gone. He had his 1 year return with the Wizards, but I never got to see any Wizards games, so I never really got to see him play. So for me, Kobe was the guy I watched growing up. And from all the clutch shots and all the clutch, he was just, those guys that like you talk about when I was in grade school, the greatest player in that sport. And a lot of people, because, we're in the New York area, said Derek Jeter's the best baseball player. Wayne Gretzky was the best hockey player of all time. And then you might have had 4 or 5 different answers for greatest football player of all time. But for the kids my age, a lot of them, it was Kobe's the best basketball player of all time. And you really look at, just how the mysticism and aura about him grew, even to where, Dave Chappelle had the skit on the Chappelle Show, shooting the piece of garbage or trash at the garbage can and going, Kobe. Everybody my age does that. Everybody my age still does that.
Yeah, to see how he's just transcended the game, too. I mean, when I was growing up, I knew friends in high school that played against Kobe at Lower Merion. So I've always kind of known about Kobe, and then when he got drafted, going straight from high school to the pros, which doesn't happen these days, obviously, because of different rules, it was a really big deal to hear somebody getting drafted out of high school, and let alone going to the Lakers, because at this time, too...
And not to mention, he was one of the early times that a guard did it.
Yeah.
You always saw centers and forwards do it, because they had the size. They always had size in their back
stature.
pocket. This was, one of the early times that a guard actually did it.
Right. So to see him get drafted, and especially going to the Lakers, because at this time, this is the post-Magic Johnson Showtime era.
Yep.
So the Lakers had not been prominent in the NBA for a couple of years.
Because their last division title before Kobe got drafted was in 1990.
Yeah.
But they had, at the time, Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, so they had guys in front of Kobe, and I believe Brian Shaw might have been there as well at that point.
I think so, too.
So, they had guards ahead of him, and when they drafted him, it's not the expectations weren't that it was going to become what it was. They had drafted a kid and obviously traded, with Charlotte to get him, but didn't view anything out of it, that he was going to be there and Eddie Jones was going to kind of be the mentor. Then obviously, his determination and his drive and his will brought him to where he was, in the NBA in his career.
Right, because at that time, too, that's when the Lakers made the deal to go get Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep.
Right.
And pairing those two together really set the tone for Showtime 2.0, however you want to define that area.
Yeah.
And just especially for being a Lakers fan in Los Angeles sports, that brought the Lakers back. That was where they should be. Because in the history of the NBA, there are certain franchises you always associate with winning. Celtics, Lakers. Right now, obviously Golden State's in that conversation. But for this time period, this is what really resurged, LA sports. Because the Dodgers were not really, they were kind of hanging, but they were coming off the World Series wins in the 80s and such. But this was a time that they really took advantage and really had the spotlight on them. And when you win, winning makes you heroes to everybody.
Right.
Kobe's mentality, and we hear about hashtag Mamba mentality.
Right.
His drive and work ethic is what made him stand out, especially at a young age. That's what everybody knows. When now in the NBA, you really don't have a few people that want to take that last shot. Kobe was always the guy that wanted the ball at the end.
You knew he was going to get the ball. You knew he was going to get the last shot, and you had to bring your 110% A++ game to beat him.
And when you go up against somebody like that, that was the closest we saw to Jordan since Jordan in his prime. I don't talk about the Wizard years because that wasn't Jordan. That was just number 54.
No, he's 23.
He
still played.
I block it out because that wasn't Jordan.
Hey, I mean, he still at that first year. That
first year,
he still had some legs. But I mean, for me, like the early Kobe years with Shaq were cool. They won. Those later years, though, when it was him, Gasol, and Odom, and Phil Jackson coming back for the second time, that's my favorite Kobe time.
Absolutely.
I fully agree.
Those teams, especially having to go up against the Celtics, they lose, and Kobe's words in the locker room after, we'll see these guys next year and we're going to get them. And then ultimately, they came back and got them. Those teams were so much fun because they were Kobe-led teams. They were Kobe-bred guys. They were built in his image, and it was tremendous.
Well, especially when they had to separate Bryant and Shaquille because of the feuding going on.
Right.
And, it's like big brother, little brother.
Yeah.
And just who can fight for the spotlight. And when L.A. made at the time, it was a bold move to send Shaquille.
I mean, and the stories have come out now. I mean, everybody knew that, Kobe was flirting with Chicago.
Yeah.
It was the deal was packaged. There was a trade in place for Chicago to send draft picks and a few players, and Kobe was going to Chicago.
Yeah. No, it came out, and how would things have turned out then? It's always a what if there.
Yeah.
But to see that LA had that much faith in him, that's just how much he won over fans. He won over the town. He won over the business. He won over the team. To see a player take that impact, and especially, remember, at this time, Shaq was still in his prime.
Absolutely.
This was not on the back end when he was...
bad knees, bad this, bad that. No,
yeah.
he could still go.
Yeah, and especially once he got traded to Miami, obviously he had much of the same success with Dwayne Wade, because Wade was all, at the time, very similar to Kobe.
Right, just coming out of Marquette.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to see Kobe take that challenge...
And they took bad years.
They took some L's.
Yeah.
To put it mildly.
Some of my favorite stuff is Kobe openly just bashing, his teammates.
Yeah.
You guys playing like Shaman.
The Smush Parker interview that he had on ESPN, the 6 o'clock ESPN, where he just openly called him out and said that I'm not going to pass him the ball, calling Kwame Brown soft.
Yep.
These were teammates. But it wasn't Kobe disliking the guys. It was Kobe disliking the mentality. It was Kobe disliking the lack of dedication because, and this has been discussed. As long as you matched his work ethic, there was never a problem. He didn't care, and Lamar Odom talks about this. Like Kobe didn't care if we were out in the night, in the clubs. But when he knocked on your door at 5 a.m., if you're not there and you don't answer your door, that's when you're going to get it in practice that day.
Yeah.
But if you go out clubbing and you wake up at 5 when he comes to get you for a workout, then you're good.
Well, that was the whole thing that really was the Mamba mentality.
Right.
Is he wanted everybody to work as hard as he did. He wanted his team to perform as well as he did. He cared that much about winning more than anybody. And the drive and the determination is what is his legacy in this game. That is why everybody knows that he was a great player. You could call him selfish all you want, but if he knew his team was soft, and he called them out, as you touched upon.
Yeah.
He was more determined to win the games by himself than work with 4 others that were putting in a half-ass performance. That is Kobe's legacy.
And you could tell when Kobe knew, how good he was. There's that video from, when he was practicing with the Olympic team. And he goes up and he's trash-talking Kyrie Irving, a young Kyrie Irving. And Kobe's willing to go one-on-one with him and put $25,000 on the line.
Yeah.
He was going to donate the money to a charity, but he said, "Listen, I'll play you one-on-one, and I'll donate $25,000."
I love the video of him and Jeremy Lin at a practice one day for no reason. Kobe just went off, and he was singling out Jeremy Lin, and he shut him down. He backed it up. They were down. I think they were down 7-5 in the scrimmage, and Kobe said, "You're not scoring again. I'm going to cover you." And he single-handedly led the team back in practice to win that scrimmage. And I was very active on social media on Facebook for not normally what Twitter, I might, a little more active, but Facebook, and one of my favorite things that was posted was that interview that he had with Barstool and Big Cat and Alex Rodriguez, where he talked about, his mentality at practice. I coach that way. I'm from that generation of hard work and dedication leads to results. My favorite things were practice. I lived during high school lacrosse and college lacrosse for Saturday morning scrimmages. That was those were better than games to me because now you're going against the guy that you had to do drills with all Monday through Friday, and now you're waking up Saturday morning and it's a setting where it's a scrimmage. I lived for that, and that mentality, that drive was what that's what I wanted to instill in the players, and Gianna had that. His daughter had that, and that's what I want from my kids. I want that dedication, that determination is what separates you from being just, and I mean, I don't want to sound like a harsh person, but that's what, if you want to make it, you have to have that mentality. You have to have that drive. Because now in today's day and age, there's so many kids that are flatline and just plain, But that work ethic, that drive, that, one more rep, that one more, all right, I'm going to stay for 15 minutes of shoot around, I'm going to go right now. Olivia at 7:30 is going for batting practice with a former BU baseball player because she wants to pursue Division I softball, and she knows that she needs to improve her batting. That's where she's going at 7:30. The work ethic, might not be there for basketball, which is fine, but that's what separates it. And that's what I loved about it, and I loved watching. If you haven't gotten Showtime, I can't recommend it. I hope it's still on there. Kobe Bryant's Muse, where he talked about coming back from the Achilles injury, and the hours spent to come back from that, an injury that would literally cripple a person, that they would be done. He drove himself back to playing at an elite level. And the other one I would recommend watching is the 30 for 30 that I did with Spike Lee.
Yeah, the 30 for 30 is excellent. It is absolutely excellent. I mean, I like a lot of the 30 for 30s, but that's my top one. Yeah. That is by far, I can't recommend that enough to watch, especially now. No, absolutely.
No, that's just one area, though. You brought up Kobe with, the defense on Jeremy Lin. That's just one area where, he and Jordan were similar.
Yeah.
That, he's just trying to bring out the best in everyone. I mean, it brought up the memory, of Jordan. I saw a video on it a couple of years ago, and I had to dig it up. Jordan and the Dream Team in 92. When they were playing Croatia, and he and Scottie Pippen made it their personal job to shut down Tony Kukoc.
Yep.
Who was the next darling of the NBA.
Yeah, was going to the Bulls.
Going to the Bulls, and, everyone's talking about him being the next great thing for the Bulls and kind of overshadowing Jordan and Scotty. And they told the entire Dream Team, we got this. And it was so bad that there's a video, I think it's on Facebook if you look it up, Jordan Kukoc, whatever, that some of the Croatian teammates were going to Tony midway through the third quarter, going, what did you do to them? Like what did you do to piss them off? Because they've held him to only 4 points scoring for the entire game. This was the next heralded great European basketball player, but that's another area where he and Kobe were similar.
Well, when he did the Dream Team, the second, the
Redeem Team.
The Redeem Team, when it was him, Kidd, and Darren Williams, and Chris Paul and LeBron, was just flourishing. That was really when LeBron was on his cusp. Melo was on that team and everything, and he saw the level of talent that was around him. And the leadership, and the respect and admiration that he had for Coach K, which goes and speaks volumes because of all the things that Coach K has done, not even playing for him. There's the stories that had he had to go on to college, he would have gone to Duke, but he didn't, and the admiration and respect that he had for Coach K, when they did the Redeem Team and they talked about roles, Kobe deferred to LeBron and said, no, let him and Melo be the lead, let them score. I want to be the defensive guy. And he took it upon himself to be the defensive monster that team needed, because when they went up against Spain, especially in the medal round, they needed somebody to play defense.
Yeah.
Because Spain was lighting them up until Kobe said no more. And that type of leadership, again, it's just, it all stems back to Mamba mentality. It all stems back to that leadership. Those were the things that separate him and brought him to the elite level. And I mean, goddamn, it's something that today's kids are going to miss. And I mean, it's a shame that they won't be able to see that and hear that.
No, absolutely. And to touch upon, too, with the Mamba mentality, and I know Pat was kind of alluding to as well, when he tore his Achilles in 2013 and then came back and worked his tail off to come back to an elite level, and obviously could only play a couple more seasons because, Father Time catches up with you. Especially
well, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the ruptured Achilles, wasn't that the one where, or maybe I'm confusing him with another player, where he ruptured it, was halfway off the court, realized he needed to take the free throws, came back and shot the free throws?
I'm pretty sure that was
Yes,
him.
that was that exact moment.
Okay.
He got fouled trying to drive, tore his Achilles, they were in the bonus. So he had, the rule was that you had to shoot or whatever, and he went walked to the free throw line,
Yeah.
shot 2 free throws
On a busted Achilles.
on one Achilles, which is there's a reason why it's called your Achilles heel
It's
because
a little,
it's
little integral to shooting.
yeah. And shot the 3 throws, and then when they tried to get him to be walked off or to help carry him off, no, I'm walking.
Which probably every doctor in the country is looking at that going, oh my God, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And obviously when he retired in 2016, still came back, went out, and I will say this is probably my favorite Kobe moment.
Okay.
The last game where he dropped 60 on Utah.
Yeah.
Which was amazing to watch on Monday.
Yeah.
Last night. I mean, I got home from the Seton basketball game. I kind of forgot it was on, flipped the tube on. We got home a little after 9, and I just sat on my couch and I watched it like it was a live game. I knew everything that happened. I knew that he only had 5 points in the second quarter. I knew that he blew up in the second half, and I sat there and I watched it like it was live.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, that is the Kobe moment. I mean, he had so many on the court, and as a Knicks fan, never was a Lakers fan, but respected what he brought to the table.
And that's why I said we learned at a young age to respect greatness, because when I was younger, I hated Jordan.
Yeah.
But then when I, matured and realized what the Knicks had to go against, it turned to admiration. The vileness that I had for him, it turned to, God, I really wish I would have appreciated this when I was younger.
I go through the same thing with Tom Brady right now.
Yeah.
And I admit it. I know, Pad.
Well, when I turned, what? Jordan probably retired when I was probably 12, 13, probably was the last one with the Wizards. So, the Bulls stretch I didn't really get. I was a kid, I understood their dominance because I saw them beat the piss out of the Knicks all the time, and I didn't get it. But when LeBron came through, or when Kobe came through, I learned.
Yeah.
I understood what Jordan was. So when I saw Kobe come through and do the things that he did, I got it. And I loved, watching the maturity. And another thing that goes unsaid is, his work ethic and stuff all led to the point where, that he was vilified among some teammates, but he didn't care. And that to me is what I love, because when I was, I didn't drink when I was younger. So I felt that's another reason why I related to him, because when he got in the league, he was 18. He couldn't go out and party with the team. So he would go back to his room and just watch tape.
Yeah.
And people didn't get that. Like, why you're a successful basketball player. You think anybody's going to stop you from coming in to a nightclub? But he didn't care, because I'm 18, I'm not going. And so he would go back and watch tape and stuff. And, when I was 18, that's how I felt. So that's another reason why I related to him. That's why, I felt that connection in a way, I guess, to say, I admired him. And, and now, and then when he retired, everything that he was doing off the court. The Mamba Center and building the venue for athletes to go and train, and he was there. It's not like this was a gym that he built and then just said, all right, you run it, director of athletics, and, I'll see you later. He was there. He was there on a daily basis. He was 5-6 days a week.
He was on his way there, the day he unfortunately crashed.
Right.
He was having a basketball camp there with a lot of kids who were excited to see him. The one thing I'd read, and I can't say if this is true or not, but the one thing I'd read was that he was on his way there to this camp with a whole bunch of kids. His daughter was going to play in a pickup game. He was going to coach, and now you had this it looked like maybe 100, 200 plus kids all in this gymnasium waiting to see their childhood idol, and now he's not there.
Well, it just, like I say, it's so stunning and sad, and
it is.
Just,
and,
to have somebody like that, I say, for a lot of people, that is their sports hero to be taken away.
Yeah,
right. That's why I say the only thing I can compare this to is when Thurman Munson died. In baseball for the New York Yankees. Roberto Clemente, obviously. The impactful. Yes, there have been athletes that have died, the last however many years, since Thurman Munson has died. But, nothing that is young and because that's the thing. Yeah, Kobe was 41. That's still young.
Right.
He's
very young.
He still had a lot going. He still had a lot to do. The Michael Wilbon for ESPN has been on, every show they've got over there and saying just how involved with storytelling Kobe was, that he really wanted to get into storytelling and all its aspects and all its facets and just all this. And Wilbon wanted to interview him about it and say, hey, what are you working on? What are you doing? What's your thought? What's your process? And in typical Kobe fashion, no, not ready yet. I got to get my head around it. I got to be the best I can be.
I mean, and that leads to today, what the NBA is doing. Let's also respect those players, and everything that they've done to pay tribute to somebody that helped transition the game and lead it to the place that it is today. From Trae Young, wearing the number 8 jersey, to the half court violations, to the 24-second shot clocks, to the Lakers organization as a whole. I read LeBron's post while watching that final game last night on Monday night, and I didn't think I had a tear left, and that brought more out. His post was highly powerful, and I hope that, and the story comes out today that players now are gonna self-retire the number 8 and the number 24, and nobody's gonna wear it. So Spencer Dinwiddie of the Nets already changed jerseys from 8 to 26, which is awesome.
And it's unheard of for them to allow them to change numbers mid-season, because we can think back to the preseason where LeBron wanted to change his number so that Anthony Davis could wear it, but the league wouldn't let him do it because all the stuff was already printed.
All the jerseys were made.
So they had to wait till next year to do it. So normally they wouldn't let players do this, but given the circumstances, they're letting them do it. And there's been a lot of talk and a lot of calls for the NBA to retire 8 and 24 league wide. The Dallas Mavericks have gone so far as to retire number 24.
Yep.
If they do it, cool. If they don't, I won't be upset by it. I'd love to see the NBA do something, in tribute to Kobe. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it should be.
I know what it is.
Because as Chris Broussard said on Fox Sports 1, that was either yesterday or this morning, nothing like this has ever happened in the NBA. Yes, you've had great players die in the past, but in terms of like every NBA MVP, only 2 of them have ever passed away. That's Wilt Chamberlain and Moses Malone, and they were both old, 60 plus years old.
Right.
So that's at least a little, all right, you're a little older, natural causes, what have you. Nothing has ever happened to this extent with the NBA where you have somebody so young, still got a lot of life ahead of them, that just suddenly passes away.
Change the logo. That's my answer. That's the next step.
It could happen.
I don't see at this point, when even Jerry West says the things that he said about Kobe, that he was the greatest player and the greatest Laker and greatest whatever, that I don't know how you don't. And I think that being next year when it's, he was up for the Naismith Hall of Fame, announcing that, in his honor, since he won't be able to give a speech, being able to change the logo then, that would be the classiest of class moves that the NBA as a whole could do.
I could see them doing it. I think right now, though, they're in shock like everybody else.
I'm not saying they need to announce it tomorrow.
No. But like I say, I'm sure they're going to come up with something. That's what I'm trying to say with that.
What I also hope is that at the All-Star break, that this is not about who's playing, but they make the All-Star game about Kobe, considering that he played in 18 of them.
I would imagine they're
they're going to do something.
I
know the Academy, the Film Academy, the Oscars are already planning something for when the Oscars air later this year.
I hope, and I saw somebody report that, or not report, but suggest that all the players should either wear 8 or 24.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
No.
And I really do. I think it's the classy move to update the logo. It's 2020.
Yeah, there have been people, graphic artists who are very more talented than I am.
Sure.
Designing stuff out there. I did see somebody, it might have been Boss Logic, the famous graphic designer who does a lot of posters and comic stuff. But he's a big NBA fan. I think he posted one design that, it's very similar to what they have now, and at its first glance, you might not notice the difference,
right.
but it does look very similar to what they have now, so that's definitely doable.
No, it definitely is, and like I say, the NBA is going to have time to think about it over the offseason. I think the immediate reaction you'll see at the All-Star break,
right,
without question. I wouldn't doubt you'll see one team is all 8 and the other team is all 24.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt seeing that. And then, like I say, for the offseason, I imagine they'll have a very big tribute, as they rightfully should.
And just as a father of a daughter who plays basketball, I mean, what he did, not only for a youth organization level, because he avidly talked about the fact that kids play on these rims that are 10 feet and it develops bad shooting habits. So he was trying to work with, the basketball commission to getting some sort of standardized hoop where it's lowered so these kids don't develop bad shooting habits. So that, and coupled with the presence that he had in the promotion that he had for the WNBA, his presence and everything there for speaking for women's basketball, at a time where it's it's an afterthought, and I know I'm guilty of it. I'm sorry, I will admit it, but his openness in regards to talking about it and promoting it and being an advocate, for the WNBA, was something that I think is really going to be missed by the WNBA too, because he was their number one spokesperson, really.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but somebody in that organization called him the future WNBA commissioner.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why they have the whole hashtag girl dad on going out right now on Twitter and social media. And rightfully so, because he was so proud of his daughter,
right,
Gigi. And it was funny because somebody said to him in an interview, like, you got to have a son to take over legacy.
Oh, no,
and
it
she immediately,
was a kid on the street.
It was whoever, and she immediately jumped and said, "Dad, I got this. Don't you worry."
Yeah,
I mean, just to see the Mambacita as they were trying to trademark.
Well, no, he filed that trademark like 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as a father with a girl who plays basketball. I mean, when I was watching, we have a group chat for the basketball team. After the news came out, I said, guys, keep the girls close tonight. Hug them, tell them that they did a good job. I mean, they had a close game that day, and the whole time it was, I was cheering with a heavy heart, and it was hard to stay focused on the game. So it's like, his voice will be missed at a youth level because of what he was trying to advocate there. I mean, I had 2 more kids that just played basketball at the youth level this year, and I watch Olivia play on a 10-foot hoop, and all the things that he was working on with trying to develop that. It's true, because they develop shit shooting habits because they're so little. Yeah. They're 3 feet tall, and they're trying to shoot on a rim that's 7 feet above their head. So they just hoof the ball up there, and they develop bad habits that take years to break down and correct. So that's something that I hope somebody else picks up the ball and runs with, and I hope that somebody can continue to advocate for the WNBA and work with them and be a spokesperson. I mean, obviously, I know that they will do something in the future when their season starts.
Yeah.
And then just also real quick, at the game, Seton, it was their senior night for the varsity girls. They held a moment of silence for Kobe and Gigi and the plane, the helicopter victims, and I thought that was a classy move because it wasn't felt here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. It was here in New York, and these are girls playing basketball with no. They're all older than G, so they don't know. They don't see it. They probably weren't even of age when Kobe was in his prime. They're all 18. And they did that, and I thought that was such a classy move, and I loved every second of it. During that moment of silence, I thought that was such a nice gesture to do, and for me, as probably many of the other fathers that were in the building that night who were a big Kobe fan, I'm sure it probably meant a lot to them too. Yeah, it just to show what his legacy has left. I mean, it touches upon anybody that's played the sport. So, I mean, and around the sports world too. I mean, the NFL released a press release about it because obviously the Pro Bowl was going on during the... And they did a night. They were top shelf too during that with the moment of silence during the game. Yeah, WWE released, they mentioned during their programming, just to show that where it connects to, not just sports, but just around everybody. I mean, we had one of our podcast friends, Discount Podcast, chimed in, and they said, we're not much of traditional sports fans over here, but there's no denying that Kobe made a huge impact in the NBA and the sport in the whole. He will be missed by fans and people everywhere. Our condolences to his family, friends, and teammates.
And I think that just goes to show just how much Kobe's legacy reaches out.
Yeah.
And especially for this tragedy, too. It takes it away from just being a sports, because I know that the focus has been on Kobe and his daughter, and I know other people were in that helicopter, but but Kobe is a very public person. The other ones are private persons. If you go through that, and I talked about this on the 3FN show, 3FNW. The attention is on Kobe because of who he is and his stature is taking away nothing from anybody else.
Right, you know, the gravitas that he carried. I mean, you can't. We live in a reality, you know. I mean,
right, and it was a situation that I think everybody just kind of went, you know, especially myself, where I was at work, I had a coworker came up and told me, oh, hey, my wife just told me that Kobe went down in a helicopter. Neglected to mention the fact that he had passed.
Right.
So I just knew he went down in a helicopter, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, okay, he's not dead, he's just really hurt.
Right.
Okay, and I'm like, wow. He's like, yeah, TMZ said. I'm like, yeah, they're usually right about those things. And I pulled out my phone, and my phone wasn't blowing up with like notifications and all the stuff that he had passed yet. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, he must be really hurt. So, about 5-10 minutes later, I pull out my phone again. I've got a message from my brother and a message from my mom. And my brother said, has mom messaged you yet? I go, yeah, but I'm just now seeing it. He goes, okay. And then my mom messaged me, and she said, holy shit. And I go, what? And she took a picture of the TV she was watching, whatever news channel it was.
Right.
And I finally saw it for the first time, and I'm like, what? Like, for the longest time for me that afternoon, 1 + 1 was not equaling 2.
No.
That, like, I just couldn't process it. My brain just wouldn't allow it to go through and that he was gone. It's just like, no. What? No.
And that's just where it hits home. It's just when you hear about tragedies like this, it just doesn't feel real.
I am also on board with one of his former teammates tweeted that 8/24 should now be known as Kobe Bryant Day, and I am 1,000% behind that.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
If nobody else celebrates it, by God, this guy will be.
I guess in closing, I mean, final thoughts and favorite Kobe moment on the court.
Yeah, let's get on a high there. Let's end that way, because that's what Kobe would want, Yeah. I mean, all in all, my thoughts, my prayers, obviously, with all the families that were affected by this. I obviously am feeling it too, so you're not alone. Go ahead, Pat.
No, yeah, definitely thoughts and well wishes go out to, obviously the Bryant family, and everyone else's family who was on board the helicopter. I wish you all the best and hope that you can find, some way to look back on, those family members' lives with, a smile and a reverence. I hope you find some sort of peace. Obviously you may never find closure, but I hope you find some sort of peace moving forward with that. As for favorite Kobe on the court moment, it's probably got to be, whatever year it was where, they were playing Portland in the playoffs, and he lobbed it to Shaq. And just that call, that play and that call, the Bryant to Shaq.
Yeah.
And just the crowd, it's wrestling fans will get it. It's on par with when Stone Cold came in to help Mankind win the title in terms of how loud that crowd was. In terms of sporting events, I'm a sucker for when the crowd gets really loud and like you can barely hear the announcers. So that right there has got to be my favorite Kobe moment.
Yeah. So I think my favorite Kobe moment is that Christmas where they played the Knicks in those horrendous orange jerseys, but it was
God. Yeah.
But it was Carmelo and Kobe, and they were just the embrace that they had, to start the game, and then just the fourth quarter that they had, just going back and forth, bucket after bucket after bucket after bucket, was tremendous. And then my second favorite moment is the Chris Childs moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That never, because being a Knicks fan, I was pro Nick, and I just remember everybody was, thinking that Kobe wasn't tough, and Chris Childs stepped to him, and Chris Childs is no pushover for being a small guy.
No.
And Kobe didn't back down a beat, and I mean, he was willing to go fist to fist. So, I mean, that right there, I mean, I would, not that it's like a high, but that moment sticks out so much in my mind because of the fact that everybody was like, Kobe's soft. He's not a tough guy. He won't step in. He won't step in and face you. And Chris Childs pushed him, and Kobe didn't back down a minute. And then that just leads to the Matt Barnes fake ball toss.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, it's those type of things that the mental toughness that you look at that I just respect the hell out of, and we just won't ever see that again.
Yeah, I think my other favorite one's got to be when he went into the Garden and dropped 61 on the Knicks, and then proceeded to blame the entire thing of him dropping 61 points on Spike Lee.
Yeah.
He looked at Spike. There's a longer story Spike has if you can find the interview he did on
Go
SportsCenter.
on YouTube and find it. The 30 for 30 is on YouTube.
Spike did an interview on SportsCenter the other day on Sunday when he passed, and told the longer story. But the long and the short of it is, Kobe went into the Garden, dropped 61 on the Knicks, and then looked at Spike after the game and said, "This is all your fault."
The hell yeah. And I'm fine with it.
I mean, that's one moment that stands out. Like I said, for me, it was his last game because there was nothing on the line. It was his last hurrah coming back from the Achilles.
Right, and especially if I remember right, like a couple of days before they were talking about it on Inside the NBA, and Shaq was like, "Oh yeah, he's probably knowing Kobe, he's probably gonna go and drop like 40, 50 or something crazy like that."
Oh yeah.
And then he interviews him after the game, and Shaq goes, "Yeah, I said you were gonna drop 40 or 50. I mean, I didn't know you were gonna go and drop 60."
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to see how he wanted to end his legacy because he didn't want to be remembered as somebody that came back from an Achilles tear that just
didn't have
it and was a shell of his former self. He showed this whole Mamba mentality that he wanted to defeat you in the worst way possible. That was his drive. That was his obsession. That is what made him into the player that is respected by everybody that is currently in the NBA because, like we say, he is the driving point that influences your LeBrons and your current generation that's coming in now.
Oh, yeah. Guys like Luka, Trey, the list goes on.
And it's games like that shows how if you put the work in, you can accomplish damn near anything. To come back from an injury like that, which few players have came back to that level and been at such a high standard, Kobe went out on his shield. And it just goes to show about his drive, his ethic, and really where he wanted to go when he left, because immediately once he was retired, the focus was on his family and grooming his daughter into the next superstar that was going to be taking over and just really focusing on life after basketball. That this whole tragedy just hits so much harder because you take away the escapism of sports and you see 9 people died.
Yeah.
Family, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters,
brothers, sisters.
Yeah, however you want to break it down. It's just, it hits you in such a degree that is just numb to think, and especially for somebody that you see on TV and all over the place that, like I say, hours prior was congratulating LeBron about taking over his spot.
Hours prior was messaging Shaq's son on Instagram.
So to see that, I mean, it hits you as a human being. To say there is no such thing as a guaranteed day, and the moments you're in, you need to make the most of. Kobe's legacy will live on for many years to come. The influence he has on players or basketball fans or people in general, just seeing his work ethic and what he's accomplished, it truly hits you when you break it down. To take nothing away from everybody else who passed away, because from all of us here at the ODPH, our thoughts, prayers, and thoughts are with the families, friends of everybody affected by this terrible tragedy. But for Kobe to see the legacy that he's leaving behind, it's truly something that has brought people into like more of a perspective of just appreciating every day. And we just say rest in peace, Kobe. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. You can keep the conversation going on hashtag ODPH. We'll be right back.
I'm Midnight Agent Raw. And I'm Okami. We are the Super Media Bros podcast. And each week, we give a comedic take on all forms of entertainment, such as movies, music, video games, television, and much more. So put your shades on and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Shades on. We're on.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Hot lips touching, cool thighs feeling, shudder running up, her spine's been a long day to a long night, but I'm not stopping till I get it right.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. So let's bring the energy back up, shall we, guys?
Yeah,
Sure.
I thank you guys for letting me have that time and space. I needed that.
No,
I feel
no-
better. Let's get it going.
Hell yeah, let's get it going. I mean, obviously, we all needed an event, obviously, the tragedy, and we do extend our rest in peace. But now it's time to bring the energy back up. Hopefully, we can do it with talking some wrestling because there's a big weekend going on.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble time in the WWE.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
So, obviously, the biggest event going other side of WrestleMania,
Yep.
I should say, the lead into WrestleMania, happened at the Royal Rumble from Houston, Texas, home
Yep.
of the Houston Asterix.
Yep.
And
shout out to the person that had the sign about Lana cheating more than the Houston Astros.
That
Made me
was,
laugh.
that was incredible.
I didn't see that, but
the
that's
sign,
good
the,
stuff.
sign, the sign game was on point.
Yeah.
So let's just focus on the two Royal Rumble matches.
Sure.
So the women's match did anger me on Twitter who won.
Sure.
And I was kind of vocal with many of our fellow podcasters, Super Media Bros, Ghost of Stratosphere, Pint of Comics, 3FN, Colin Ginter. I mean, the list goes on. Andre Driven. Charlotte Flair pulls off the win in a very heavy NXT-laid Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the NXT women's roster is probably the deepest.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
far as the
yeah.
two brands.
Yeah.
As far as pure talent. So it makes sense, having those girls mix in, and be in that. But yeah, Charlotte winning was just, I was watching it, and when it got to the final two, I was like, "Dog, this has to be Blazer." Like,
Right.
there's not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
But then I started, Charlotte started, and what scared me was the Blazer throw to Charlotte into the steel steps. Because when I saw that, I go, "Oh no, they're gonna do some bullshit where Blazer thinks that she won." Not realizing that Charlotte's on the outside and then dumps her while she's celebrating.
Yeah.
So that had already started the wheels,
Yeah.
turning in my mind of, oh boy, Charlotte is about to win this. And then when they got to the final two and Blazer had the upper hand, I was like, all right, maybe, because it wasn't the surprise Charlotte's back in
Right.
the ring, she dumps her.
Right.
So I was like, all right, Blazer still might go over. And then when Charlotte won, I was like, oh no.
No, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with I got to say with the Women's Royal Rumble is, yeah, Charlotte won it, but I would say, she's the individual that won it, but in terms of who won the Rumble overall, I would have to say it's NXT, because you look at some of the folks, the women they had in that matchup, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green, Dakota Kai, Mercedes Martinez, Mia Yim, the list goes on and on and on, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Knox, Toni Storm, Xia Li, that NXT had the best performance, and I would say their women's division comes out looking real good.
Absolutely. You had to be super impressed of what the NXT women's division brought to the table. And Shayna Baszler was my odds-on favorite to win.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the show last week.
I think we all picked Blazer,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. So, obviously, the big curveball happened, but I'm going to allude to a little bit later of why I'm actually okay with Charlotte winning now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now-
Because let me tell you why I'm not. Because, as of right now, and what you foresee happening minus what's been reported today. All right. So let's remove that out of your minds real quick. We have Becky Lynch as the champion.
Yep.
And we have Bayley as the champion.
Correct.
Charlotte has had
Numerous.
unimaginable millions of matches with these two. So really, I have no interest in, and we just got Becky Charlotte last year. Mm-hmm. We got Bayley Charlotte at SummerSlam, right? Or some pay-per-view. I mean, it was recent.
Yeah.
We just got that match. And now here we are again with her being the Royal Rumble winner and staring in the face of facing one of those two where, Blazer Becky would have been fantastic. Bayley's got a program right now. Obviously, I don't want to see. I'm sick of seeing Charlotte Bayley. It's been done, And the Becky, I mean, maybe the Becky Charlotte thing could have been a great story because, you know, Charlotte, they could have played on the fact that it was supposed to be Charlotte versus, you know, Ronda, and, you know, Becky had to get in the way of things, and, you know, you cost me my title match, you know, cost me my title last year, blah, blah, blah. So they could play that card, which I guess would make for a compelling story, wouldn't make for a compelling match to me. So that's why I was just like, we've seen it, you know,
Yeah.
and unfortunately for me, Charlotte's got the Roman stink.
Yeah.
She's already up there, and we already know that she's going to be in the title picture no matter what. She doesn't need to win the Rumble, you know. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, it's kind of the same thing though. Like, and I don't want to say it's just Charlotte's got the Roman stink. I would say, arguably, the upper echelon of that women's division, you know, on Raw and SmackDown, have the quote unquote Roman stink about it because, you know, Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, Becky are your like established, like always in some form or another going to be floating around the title picture. Mm-hmm. Who else is in that upper echelon that like nobody else? Because they've not developed them right. And you've got some other women on that, you know, Asuka's obviously one. But when's the last time Asuka got a legit title run that wasn't her NXT run? You know, they've got other women on that division, you know, that can make a run and can do great things with the title, but just for whatever reason, when it comes time to change the title, all right, which of the 4 horsewomen are we going to plug in there to win the title?
Right. I mean, that's who they've been really pushing for the past couple of years. And this is where I'm kind of leading to a point, because I was going to talk about this a little later, but I think from what I said on the 3FNW show, 3 Fat Nerds podcast I was co-hosting with Rich this week, and find on 8122productions.com, I actually said if Charlotte winning, she should fight Rhea Ripley from NXT. And rumors are leaking that might happen. That makes the most sense to me because it's a new face-to-face Charlotte.
Rumors are saying you'll find out Wednesday.
Yes.
Yes. That's like the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's the Sheamus Randy Orton thing. Do you really want to see Randy Orton and Sheamus face each other again?
Right.
Do you really want to see Becky versus Charlotte for the umpteenth time?
No, but at the same time though, I mean, yeah, I think Rhea, you know, is uber talented for being only 23 years old. Obviously now the NXT Women's Champion, you know, NXT Champion.
Right, they did make the change.
Sorry, excuse me. I don't know. For me,
it's an intriguing storyline.
Yeah, it is.
That you look at Survivor Series and how that all played out and everything leading up to that. So there's that. You could definitely, I think, have some fun with that, and I think it'd be good, you know, for NXT. You know, not that they need it, but it'd be fun to see Charlotte down there again, just kind of like wrecking shop and taking names.
I don't want to see Charlotte as that champion. You know, I mean, I don't want to see her on Wednesday night because that division doesn't need her. You know, I mean,
right.
It doesn't need to be elevated. It already is. The depth and the talent that they have, although there isn't like Becky Lynch or the 4 horsewomen as there was 5 years ago when all those girls were down there. Mm-hmm. The roster is still deep enough to the point that when there's a women's match on, it's not like, all right, I got to immediately, you know, either turn it off or not pay attention because they are captivating. I mean, Candice LeRae is one of the most talented pure wrestlers on that entire roster, and I love watching her matches. So I don't necessarily think that they need her to do anything. You know?
No, they don't. But the only thing I could see with Charlotte going down there for is if they really are still trying to. Not that they need to sell to us, the wrestling fans that have been watching since day one.
Right.
But if they really need to put over NXT as a third brand, its own entity, and if they don't, now I don't agree with this statement I'm going to make, if they don't feel that Rhea Ripley's done enough or the brand stands out on its own enough, because I think it does, having Charlotte face that champion does elevate the status because it's Charlotte's pedigree.
Well, and the name carries weight that if you advertise on a, say, SmackDown or a Raw, that, hey, tune in on this Wednesday, you know, at 8 o'clock Eastern to NXT on the USA Network, where Charlotte Flair is going to go down and take on, you know, insert, you know, wrestler here. I think that you got a lot of people who know the Flair name and know what comes with that. They might not watch NXT. They might watch AEW, or they might watch something else that's on TV that night and go, "Ooh, wait a minute. Charlotte's going to be on that. I might have to give that a shot.
Yes, and I think it's a brilliant move on that point to give somebody new. I'm just hoping they don't feed Rhea to Charlotte. I know it's on some of their podcasts.
That's what I'm afraid of. Like, again, just said, 23 years old. Charlotte, obviously veteran. The NXT title probably would look great around her waist. It would catapult Wednesday nights as must-watch TV. They don't need her on Wednesdays.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they need her, but I think if she did go down there, because I think right now, either she can go to SmackDown and run roughshod over there. On Becky, you can't have her over there if she's going to be in the championship talk, because we've already seen that match. Sending her to NXT is not a demotion if that could be made into her brand. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by this is because Shayna's going to be eventually getting called up. Bianca Belair, I think, is getting called up soon, too.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed.
Especially after her performance in the Rumble. I think that they can do a little shuffling of the deck and send Charlotte down, and it's not a demotion, and I think it could work. So we'll have to kind of see where it goes from there. And I think that would free up Becky and Shayna, which is the match everybody wants to see. But the question I'm posing now to the panel here, what happens with Bayley? Because Sasha Banks is yet again injured from all the points we've been hearing. Mm-hmm. Who does she face at Mania?
Well, again, there's not really a lot of women on the SmackDown side that I would say are quote unquote worthy to have a title opportunity. Maybe they set up something at Elimination Chamber and you have something go that way. But I think if they don't go that route, this might be an easy way out. This might be a cop out. You bring in a legend. If Beth Phoenix is able to go, because I know Lord have mercy, she got the back of her head cut open pretty bad during the Royal Rumble.
Oh my God!
Woof. Not So assuming there's nothing ongoing that like she has to sit out for a while, you maybe bring in a Beth Phoenix, and if Beth Phoenix isn't able to go, maybe bring in Alita.
I think Bayley is going with the feud continuing with
Lacey Evans.
I think
to
that's
Mania.
I think somehow, some way, if it's not Sasha. And I don't want it to be Sasha because I love the two of them together.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of them flipping back and forth. Sasha, just leave her for here, maybe until SummerSlam. Like, leave it and let it go. But I know they love Lacey, and you can tell they love Lacey.
Oh, yeah.
And you can tell that they love the idea of her family. And I 1,000% could see that magic moment at WrestleMania where Lacey finally topples the evil Bayley, who beats her up in front of her family and does it, and pins her 1, 2, 3, and the daughter, the Kofi moment.
Kofi moment.
Daughter comes in the ring, her husband comes in the ring, there's this embrace, and fireworks go off, and Lacey Evans has done it. She's defeated the evil Bayley. So I 1,000%, that is a WWE story to a T,
See, I'm going to go the alternative route. I think that Lacey doesn't have that match at Mania. I'm going to stick to a gun and think that since we're on the comeback trail of some people, I think Beth Phoenix is going to get the shot. Just because the nostalgia pop that was at the Rumble.
Yeah.
And plus, it's a name that Bayley could face at Mania. It's a Mania match. And when Bayley wins, it won't hurt.
So where I think that they go with Beth is her and Natalie face Asuka and the Kabukis.
I can see that.
Yeah. That's where I think that they go with that because, sisters from a different mister versus, the Kabuki Warriors and that storyline of them being so tight. And here's Natalie and Beth, who are also so tight in the older generation. And, the Warriors can tell the story of nobody can beat us. Nobody.
They're tough and they're hard. Yeah, they're hard enough that the green mist might not work on them. Yeah,
that they're the toughest and the best, and nobody can beat them from today's class. And then in comes the two veterans to say, not so fast, So I think that writes itself too. And obviously, everybody getting on the card is always important. So I'm sure that they'll probably throw in some more tag teams. But I think the money is in, especially after what Beth Phoenix just went through, and the toughness that she just showed. I mean, her and Asuka in the ring together would be tremendous.
I'd be okay with that. I just don't want to see Santina involved in any which way, shape, or form.
Greatest wrestler of all time.
I honestly, given what Sunday was, that moment for me was probably the highlight of the Royal Rumble. I know it got absolutely shit on social media, and people were like,
guilty as charged.
Yeah, but for me, like, just seeing him in there,
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I thought honestly
because the music hit and the name popped up, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, who? And then they did a close-up shot on who it was, and I realized it was who it was, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, and then when he did the thing, and he did,
The self-elimination.
Yeah, the self-elimination, because I can't remember the two girls who were next to him.
It was Beth and it was Natty.
Beth and Max. So perfect.
And
Yeah,
Beth
it's a
was steering
storyline, yeah.
Beth was steering daggers.
Yeah, and just for him to break it out and then be like, never mind, boop, and then do it to himself, like that moment of levity was like I probably laughed, and I know I'm going back to the previous thing, but I probably laughed out of that because of the emotional state that I was in, though, that I needed that laugh. So I thought that was real good. And for you guys who shit on it, no offense, Ken, come on. Pull the stick out, all right? It was all in fun.
No, I understand it was all in fun, but I guess at this stage, for me, and like I say, I understand the fun point. I get it, sure. But with the women's revolution taken off as much as it is, I didn't think it was needed there.
Right, and I get, and I understand your point.
That's my point
right
with it. So,
but I mean, for that though, I just say it was in fun. You know, I mean.
Oh, and yeah, and I get it. Like I said, I was just like, really, like, okay. Because like I thought you could put Billy Kay or Peyton Royce in there, or somebody.
Well, where have they been? I was thinking about that the entire.
I don't know.
Are one of them hurt?
No, I want to think they went back home with everything going on in Australia.
Oh, okay.
I want to think that, because if I'm not mistaken, so if I'm wrong,
I know
apologize.
I'm bringing this up mid-segment here, but I was thinking about that the whole time during the Rumble, because I was like, I was definitely expecting Lita.
Mm-hmm.
I was maybe thinking, possibility of a Trish. Not likely. Like, that was like, a very unlikely thing. Because, like, the Kelly thing threw me for a loop. I was not anticipating that at all.
No, I heard that she was a sub for Sasha.
Yeah,
so that's what that was.
And then Sasha not being in it was weird to me. So I mean, and then not seeing Peyton and
like I said, if memory serves me right, I think that they were heading, with obviously everything going on with Australia.
Okay,
they were heading back home to be with family,
which
now.
is
we're perfectly
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, it's been weird because I hadn't seen him on TV recently, so. But I mean, the Rumble match in itself though was booked really well. Like in and of itself, because the problem with Rumble matches is that it can get bogged down and can be, too much to pay attention to and all that. But I thought they booked it very well. The spacing, the eliminations were done very well. I thought it was and I thought it was better than last year's Rumble.
I thought so too. I thought flipping to the men's side now.
I'm saying women's last year versus women's today.
I fully agree with you. I thought both Rumble matches were perfect this year.
Oh my God!
So
my wife hated the men's, and I loved every freaking second of it.
Brock was the MVP.
I love the second half of the Rumble. Like the first part got a little long in the tooth.
Oh, I loved it. I was like, more. Who's coming out next? Goodbye. More. Who's next? Goodbye.
From everything that happened with Brock Lesnar coming in number one and the quest to take WrestleMania off and eliminating everybody, which he did a great job with.
Because every time he got one more out, I was like, motherfucker's going to do it. Like, he going to go all 30 right now. He's going to run train.
Until the man, the myth, the legend, bask in his glory came in the ring.
And we got the moment.
We got the moment. Which I know, like Ghost was talking about it on Twitter. Like, that was the moment. If you wanted to set up that match for Mania, you could have.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would have been too soon.
No, way too soon.
I think it's a tease for a future match.
But I think down the road, oh hell yeah.
I mean, and you know what though? Not only was Brock a monster, the charisma and the fun that it looked like he was having
when
was
MVP's music hit, he was dancing.
Oh my God. I'm dancing right now. He's doing the Brock right now.
He's doing a little shimmy.
It was awesome.
I was dying between that and the Sheldon Benjamin entrance.
Oh my God. Talk about just because I was like they're going to team up right now, and
which would have made sense given Brock was looking a little sweaty, looking a little tired, but a little bit. So hey, get some backup.
And then Paul being the it's so good to see you, Shelton. Like it looked like they had rearranged, they prearranged it backstage. That literally, I mean, Aaron was like, "This is Sean. Come on, this match is terrible." I go, Aaron, I'm loving this. Another guy comes out, gets eliminated. Bobby Roode comes in, see ya. Or Robert Roode.
Yeah.
Ziggler hangs in there, luckily. Rey Mysterio out of here. Big E gone. Kofi out of here, you know. Some of those eliminations look dangerous as shit, though.
Yeah. There's one guy. There's one guy. I forget who it was. He suplexed him out of the ring.
Oh, John Morrison.
God,
John Morrison got shot putted.
Oh my God.
He got shot putted like Rey Mysterio going into the side of the trailer by Kevin Nash.
Oh my God. He comes in and he does his little acrobatic slide, dive in through the middle.
Yeah.
And then the two of them meet boots, and you just saw the John Morrison just. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh shit. And then, obviously they squirmished up a little bit, but then when Brock eliminated him and he just John's lucky that he didn't tear his ACL landing the way that he did, because he landed stiff-legged.
He landed very badly.
And Brock was not helping anybody with these eliminations, but the way he was darting people.
No, especially like I know he did the double lift to Keith Lee and Braun, which was just redunculous in its own right. And then the overall winner came in, Drew Mack.
Hey,
surprised everybody.
Called it.
Well, I said they were going to set up the interaction. So because I originally picked Roman was going to win, I was hoping Drew did, but I said that was going to be your WrestleMania match between those two, and they sure enough did it. They set it up. Drew eliminated him. Brock sold it.
Yeah.
Visually,
I was afraid for a while though, because Drew eliminated Brock, and then Brock proceeded to sit there for the longest time. And I said this while we were watching. I'm like, Brock's going to get involved in some way and eliminate somebody.
Quick sidebar: they need to do away with the guy already eliminated still able to eliminate somebody else rule.
Yeah,
that shit needs to go. That is the dumbest thing. Lana, with Lana going back in after
for the Liv
Morgan,
yeah.
And then just in general, so my son has been watching Royal Rumbles because I was like, oh, the Rumble's coming up, Finn, let's watch some Rumbles. So, you get used to it and understand what it is. And the times that you go back and you see a guy already eliminated, then go back in and eliminate somebody else, it's like, that if Pat and I are in Royal Rumble and I eliminate Pat, but
Good
then
luck
Pat
with
comes
that.
right, sure. But then Pat comes
Charlie
in,
Weiss.
yeah, right. Just say that name and see what happens. So Pat, I eliminate Pat, but then Pat comes back in. He's been eliminated.
Yeah,
the rule should be, all right, well, you're eliminated, so you're not in the match anymore. So your elimination of said wrestler X does not count.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the rule moving forward. I know that was a sidebar. Drew McIntyre, though's performance was superb. He looked and acted like $1,000,000.
The only thing I hate, and I know this is because he's a face now, is the countdown to the Claymore kick. 3, 2, 1. Boom! I hate that. I love the whole he does the get up. Now I realize he's a face now, not a heel. That can still work for being a face.
Yeah, I think part of that might have been playing into the Rumble.
Yeah. The thing is he did it on Monday night too, though.
He did it Monday night, but I could see him switching to how Shawn Michaels did the super sweet chin music in the corner and start pounding his foot and then come flying with it. I think it's going to happen.
It's just doing the emphatic like you're at a rock concert. 3, 2.
I just thought he was feeling it. At the time, I didn't catch Raw. I only read about it, so. I didn't know that he did that on Raw, which sucked because I thought he was just feeling it, and he was just like, the crowd's eating me up. Let me just fucking get anything in right now.
Yeah.
But outside of that though, he was tremendous. He looked like a monster. He felt like a monster. He felt like somebody that could go into the match with Brock and it not be I gotta low blow him to finish him
3 times.
Yeah, 17 curb stomps. You feel like one Claymore kick might actually take Brock out, and that's what's fun.
Yeah, and then we of course had the worst kept secret on the internet show up, Edge return.
Yeah, when that moment hit, and
it go.
Don't kill the camera guy.
No, I'm not gonna kill the camera.
Sure. They AEW'd it.
Yeah. I got to give credit to whoever was in charge of hitting the music, because if you go back and you watch any of the footage they posted, they wait like a solid second between the buzzer hitting and hitting his music. Perfect timing for the place to go, oh my God, it's Edge.
So listen, the history is already there with them messing up and botching debuts. Because let's go back to AJ Styles.
Yeah.
When his music hit and you heard that.
Oh yeah.
You know,
and
they're
still cut in on Roman.
Yeah, and they're still cutting on Roman's face, and you're
we're
like,
sitting, who is
wait,
it?
who is it? Like, why is Roman reacting this way?
3
Why
days
are
later,
fans?
3 days later, they come out with an alternate shot that was a million times better than what they showed.
Yeah, so there's already a track record with the Rumble botching the introduction. So I was like, whatever. When we missed the first beer, all right, we miss it. But then we got the second one, so it was great. And I mean, Edge looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
I will say this: that was the moment for me. I just sat there in shock because knowing that how he came back from career-ending neck injury.
Yeah,
like I cannot stress this enough. Like he should not be doing this. I don't know how he got cleared. I know
science.
Yeah, hashtag Wolverine, hashtag adamantium skeleton. I don't know how you wanted to find it. But to see him come out and you saw literally that split second of joy and you could see him holding back from crying.
Yeah.
Coming out and his whole pyro came out. The whole place erupted. And he came in and looked $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, it looked real good.
Him and Orton
Yeah.
were the highlight. Next to Brock were the highlight of the Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they filmed it, but I hope that they filmed a 24 thing with him.
Oh, they
leading up to it, because I really want to see the backstage reaction, like some of the wrestlers who were backstage, like the women and the other wrestlers who weren't in the Rumble match, see their reaction. I want to see Beth's reaction.
Well, maybe
they're gonna have everybody. They're gonna do a 24/7 on that.
I don't know.
I want to
because he was in negotiations with AEW up until
rumored. Yeah.
So who knows when he actually?
But I'm talking just like the 24 hours leading up to that whole thing.
Yeah,
I really want to see like what the backstage wrestlers
right,
reactions
365
were.
versus 24/7.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll get a 24/7 just the Rumble edition because I mean, who knows how long he had put pen to paper.
Well, I mean, and that's $1 million question. We don't know. There's still a lot we're going to hear about.
I mean, MVP came out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, that got leaked.
That got leaked.
Right. Well, I know the guy posted the thing, like, what a jackass. But still, though, this is a dude who 5 years ago, absolutely destroyed WWE as a company.
Mm-hmm.
From top to bottom, he ripped everybody apart and was open about ripping people apart and didn't second guess ripping people apart. And then all of a sudden, here he is, and now he's signed a deal?
He signed a small run deal.
No, he hasn't signed a deal. It's a short run.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
well,
he's going to be there for a couple of things and on his way out the door because he's 46 years old.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the wrestling business is one you never say never, no matter what.
Right.
This is why we say CM Punk will be wrestling at some point.
I mean, when we were here, that Punk storyline to me is money.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
and that's fully happening. Like I'm going to watch Backstage tonight with intentions.
Oh, is Punk on there tonight?
I think he is. So
okay.
I definitely want to check it out and hear the reactions. And let's just kind of roll this in because obviously we said Drew Mack won. Edge and Orton definitely had the moment of the night.
Oh, God. Their interactions, it felt like a bad cop, good cop movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it felt like. You felt like you were like, because the two of them, like, hey, you get him, I'll get him?
Yeah.
Good? Okay. Like, it felt, you know what it felt like? Shawn Michaels and Triple H.
Yeah, it did.
In the fun DX days.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. It was a fun Rated RKO reunion.
Yeah.
And obviously with Drew Mack eliminating everybody and pulling the fast one and getting over on Roman, too, which broke the internet.
Because when they were the last two, because they already had the Brock moment, so it would have been very easy for them to book Drew versus Brock, period, without him needing to win the Rumble. So I was very worried. I was like, Roman's about to win this.
Yeah, which I seriously thought he was going to do, but then the internet won this one. Drew Mack won. Flip it to Monday night. Drew has announced officially he's fighting Brock. Everybody's on board with that. Charlotte still delaying her reaction. The rest of Raw, nothing really to write home about, except Andrade is now suspended for failing the wellness policy.
30 days.
So that's why he got the
DDT. Notably, I don't think they're pulling the title from him.
No, which is interesting too, but Carrillo gave him that DDT on the cement and got the biggest pop I've ever seen and more charisma out of him than I've seen since he's been wrestling for WWE.
Yeah.
So let's see where that goes. Let's fast forward to the end, though. Edge doing his promo.
Sure.
Cutting the emotional, I'm back, this is how I came back, I have grit. Randy Orton coming to the ring. You know, the history is there. Obviously, the moment from Royal Rumble. He comes in, he's like, why don't we do RKO one more time?
Which was rumored.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, bam, RKO out of nowhere. Edge sells it like a champ.
Yeah.
And then Orton sets up the concerto freaking everybody out. And Edge, you want to talk about the little things to get over? When Edge is on the ground, you see his right hand twitching. Mm-hmm. And then they end the show.
And you want to talk about a masterclass in acting, you got to give credit to Randy Orton and just the time he let between like just all of his actions after he RKO'd Edge and Edge was laying there twitching and Randy was just standing there and letting the crowd just sit there and simmer. Yeah. And just sit there and boil and boil and boil and boil. Because he knew he had them in the palm of his hand.
Right.
That whatever I do, they're going to boo the you-know-what out of me. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is genius.
Yes. So, overall, Coach, your thoughts on Edge and Randy for Mania? Because that's where we're going.
I mean, I think this is great for Randy Orton. I think this is exactly what his character needed because he's just been so stale for so long.
Yeah.
And, you know, the heel turns, the face turns. It's so back and forth, and you're so used to Randy Orton, the vintage Randy Orton, all that garbage. So it's just like, it's boring, you know? But now this feels fresh.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels personal, which I think is, which I think will make it fun because Randy Orton at WrestleMania has been so vanilla, so plain, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it, and I think that's a good person to put Edge in the ring with for if he doesn't work up until Mania, which I mean we don't know. I'm just saying, like if that's his first opponent going into Mania, that's a very smart
and safe
person to put him in the ring with because you know
Randy's going to protect him.
Randy's going to take care of him.
Yeah.
So I know that they can tell the story without needing the physical altercations every single week.
Yeah.
So I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, wrestling fans are in for a treat on this one.
No, yeah, I'm absolutely excited to see Edge wrestle at WrestleMania because much like I said last week with CM Punk, I've never gotten to see Edge wrestle in a match. So that should be awesome to see. I'm also calling it now. Edge goes to do his entrance at WrestleMania. Those cannons on the pirate ship are going off.
Oh, yeah.
Along with all the multitude of fireworks that will go off, those cannons are going off something fierce.
The only thing better would have been Cena got added. Just with a history with all of them.
Yeah, oh, God.
Which it still could.
Well, it still could. I mean, special guest referee, that would be pretty fun. Cena said that he wants to be back at Mania.
Or just make it a triple threat and then just have extra protection for Edge.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it, though. I'm just saying I could understand it, but...
no, I could, too. I don't know. John as a special guest referee would be a ton of fun, too, in this, you know?
I'd be okay because he's got to promote Fast and Furious 9.
Perfect.
Which the trailer drops Friday.
Yep.
This is true.
Are we changing gears? Because I just wanted to bring up NXT real quick.
Sure.
That Gargano, DIY, Ciampa versus Mustache Mountain match, go out of your way to watch that match.
Worlds Collide was the best pay-per-view of the weekend.
Oh, my
best
God.
card, top to bottom.
Yeah. That match between the four of those men was fantastic. It was a little bumpy in the beginning, still feeling each other out a little bit, you know, the clash in styles. But once they smoothed everything out and they were full gear or full speed, it was ready to go. The main event, however, was scary.
Wow.
Was very scary.
Walter, drop mic.
Double suplex.
I mean, not even just that, just none of them had any smoothness to each other.
Yeah, no, that was working as stiff as possible.
Oh, my God.
Adam Cole's midair super kick. The
midair super kick, and then what Pad called, because he goes, we really need to see a chop spirit test between Roddy and Walter.
We do.
Yeah.
And that guy. I said deep. That. I said they're coming out. I'm like, ooh, can we get I just offhanded, like not knowing anything. I was like, oh, can we get a spirit test between Roddy and Walter? And Ken looked at me and goes, no. And sure enough, we got it.
I mean, I was texting some other buddies, and I was just I was just like stiff, capital letters, stiff. Like that match they were laying it in there, and there was spots where like even bumps, that it was like,
they knew they
my
could take
God.
It.
Well, I mean, some of them were like, no.
Yeah.
And then, oh, no, they're doing it. And then, boom, and I'm like, that person's... I mean, I thought there was... Not only was the one Imperium guy...
Alexander Wolf got knocked out legit.
I thought other guys were also hurt by the way that they were like... I mean, Roderick Strong at one point rolled out of the ring and looked like he was like... not moving.
Yeah.
Like, he rolled out of the ring and just like flopped on the ground. I'm like... I saw officials go and check on him. I'm like... Shit, he's down. Mm-hmm. And then Walter took that bump on the table, and I mean, even that wasn't smooth. And then oh my God,
What, Fabian Eichner, Barthel?
Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, Kyle O'Reilly took a bump.
He took the back chops.
Yeah, he took the, and I
Which
was
always
like,
hurt worse.
and I was like, holy shit, he's down too. Like, I mean, it's still like, all in all, the stiffness was fun to watch because you just don't see it, and that's the England style, and that's just how they work. But you could definitely see that, like, it was like,
Yeah, like I say, that whole card, top to bottom, Worlds Collide is worth a rewatch if you haven't seen it yet.
even the Finn match,
Finn-
the Balor
Finn and
match,
Dragunov,
was very stiff because you saw Balor's face turn from like, okay, you know, this is going to be a great match, we're going to have fun, to like, oh no, like, all right, you want to work me this way? Okay, here's, you know, that double stomp that he does off the ground. I mean, he put them boots in, like, he was like stomp, you know, like he was stomp the yard, like he was trying to land on the man's chest, like, you know, he busted his nose up a little bit, like you could tell shit was getting real, you know.
Absolutely. Overall, though, is a great weekend of wrestling.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was fun.
No, overall, you can't say anything wrong about the weekend. Going to NXT tomorrow night, I mean, as we're recording, I mean, it's anybody's guess. We might see Charlotte appear on there to challenge Rhea Ripley. Keith Lee will be defending, I think, the North American title. I mean, he just won it from Roddy. So, I mean, there's going to be so many storylines as now we march to Mania. I mean, it's going to be anybody's guess of what's really going to be happening.
Well, I mean, it's fun to be in WrestleMania season because, you know, now things are peaking.
Yeah.
You know, and they have the Elimination Chamber, which unfortunately just is at a rough time because the Elimination Chamber is a great pay-per-view. It's just, it's put in the shittiest position because it's the pay-per-view right before Mania. So it's like nothing's going to happen, you know? I mean, so...
No, the only thing we know is I know there's a Saudi Arabia show coming up, and I know that the Elimination Chamber is coming.
Right, that's why I just...
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. The Elimination Chamber is the next pay-per-view.
Right.
I don't count the Saudi shows as a pay-per-view.
Right.
That's... No. The Elimination Chamber is the next thing in my mind, and I... You know, it's just... It sucks because it should be more. It feels like it could be more, but it's just... It's put in such a bad position because it's right between the Rumble and Mania. So you just it's a hold. It's a holding position.
It's a stopgap.
Yeah, it's a stop. That's right. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Stopgap.
it's a stopgap. The only thing you're going to find out is who's going to be facing Bray.
Yeah.
Then you know what? Then that's fine because the only other idea, and I posted this on Twitter too, is tie up the Owens. Well, Joe, if he's cleared because he suffered a concussion Monday night.
Yep.
Owens, Joe, Big Show, Aleister Black versus the Church of Rollins, as I'm just going to call them. Put them all in the Elimination Chamber. Let them go crazy.
But with that said, though, this is when they peak.
Yeah.
This is when you see everything come full throttle, and I think that, I mean, it's needed for WWE because the last 3-4 months, outside of maybe a few storylines that catches your eye, have been Oh God, we didn't talk about the Mandy Rose spot. Oh my God! How awesome was that? Because all of a sudden she just rolled. Yeah, you didn't like it? Because all of a sudden, like, she gets thrown over the top rope, and then she lands on the apron. And I'm like, all right, she's just gonna roll back in, and then all of a sudden she awkwardly rolls out. And I'm like, that's how she gets eliminated. Like, she saved herself. Why is she now on the ground? And then all of a sudden the camera pans around. There's Otis.
Yeah. No, I mean it just goes back to show. I mean, there's so many moments from the Rumble. It's worth a rewatch just from top to bottom. The booking, top notch. Like I say, I can't say it was top notch enough because it was.
Yeah,
definitely in definitely in the top fives of all time.
I mean, outside that Punk run with the Straight Edge Society where he's just cutting a promo while eliminating dudes, this was probably my favorite Royal Rumble.
I don't know. For me, it's Ric Flair with a tear in my eye. That Rumble. There's so many we can keep talking about, but let's keep that conversation going on social media, shall we? Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What was your thoughts about the wrestling recap going on this past weekend? Royal Rumble, Worlds Collide, and have you listened to the wrestling show on 3FN? Check it out. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Andrew from the Pop Culture Brews podcast. We're the podcast where we take pieces of pop culture we absolutely love, we do deep dives on them, and then at the end of the episodes, we reveal to you the beers we were inspired to make by it. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, and all of the usual suspects. Why not come check us out and have a pint?
Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now,
back to the guys.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, kick us off with that local minute.
Well, local minute, of course, we're talking some Binghamton Devils hockey news. And looking at their games last week, they had a come-from-behind win on Wednesday against the Utica Comets, winning by the final score of 5-3. They continued their comeback streak and came back against the Syracuse Crunch on Friday, winning the game by a final score of 4-3. And then they won a shootout thriller on Saturday at home against the Laval Rockets by the final score of 3-2. Looking at their games upcoming this week, they've got a game this Friday at home against the Providence Bruins, game time 7:05. And then they've got another home game this Saturday, February 1st, against the Rochester Americans, 7:05 p.m. Should note, both home games this weekend, it's Slapshot weekend.
Yeah, the great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
More information, binghamtondevils.com.
Coach, let's talk some Bulldogs.
Bulldogs were in action this past weekend with a Pat, Ken, let me give you a little tidbit here I was told from a young age. Did you guys know the hardest thing in sports is to beat a team 3 times?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The Bulldogs did that with a victory here over the Spa City Gamblers by 1, narrowly escaping the game in overtime. I turned the game on with about 2 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter that I saw the Bulldogs down 4, I want to say. Or no, they were down 2 with Chris Cartwright at the free throw line, hit 2 clutch free throws that eventually sent the game to overtime, where they were narrowly, and I'm talking narrowly able to escape the game here. Deshaun Nelson with a career-high 29 points, I do believe.
Yeah.
So congratulations to him. I believe he was named the player of the game. And they are playing this Saturday. What a weekend. What a weekend, guys.
Yes.
They are playing Saturday night, 7:05 at St. Patrick's. They are playing the number 2 Wyoming Valley Clutch. So while Binghamton is ranked 7th currently, they were in a tie with Syracuse. The most recent rankings had them moved to 7th with the Stallions sitting at 6th. They now play this game against the number 2 undefeated Wyoming Valley Clutch at 7:05, like I just mentioned, this Saturday. Tickets are going quick, and they're only being sold online. So if you want to get to the game, you better buy your tickets because they're going fast, people. For more information, binghamtonbulldog.com or check their active Facebook.
Yes. Facebook was more recommended by us here at the ODPH.
Very active.
Very, very active.
Very active.
And we also give a shout out. Johnny Stock is happening this Saturday night as well. Excite Wrestling is back at the X. Mikey Whipwreck is in the main event, taking on his pupil Stockade.
Coming out of retirement.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun night down at the X.
I believe Moose said it cost him a pretty penny to get.
That's what he said.
Well, he's trying to recruit anybody and everybody to take out the dying breed. I heard he placed a call to Texas for a person that is not allowed to come on the show. For
Undertaker?
Well, I guess
Stone Cold?
in some parts of the world, I guess you
Shawn
could call
Michaels?
him.
Booker T?
He's known to bury things. I know he's bury things, and usually waste disposable places.
Plus, I'm running out of Texas wrestlers I know.
Yeah. No, but for the person that's banned from the ODPH for the time being.
Damn right.
Unless I play their promo.
Yes, unless you play their promo, but we don't acknowledge that one. But Moose is trying to do anything and everything to take out the dying breed. So if you want to see some great pro wrestling action in the 607, ExciteWrestling.com has all the information for Johnny Stock happening this weekend at the X. So let's round those bases, shall we? Pad, lead us off.
Got some interesting baseball news that popped up today as we record. It sounds like the Major League Baseball is working out a deal somehow to mic up the Major League Baseball umpires. So, of course, a couple years ago, Major League Baseball introduced replay reviews so that you could figure out, was this guy out? Was he safe? Was it a home run? Was it a double? Stuff like that. And that's been a good, step forward for baseball, I would say. But, kind of one thing I feel like that, and I know other people have kind of said is, all right, it's great and all that you have replay, but we don't get any explanation or kind of of what the call was. You just get a simple, you go to that base, you're out, you're safe, what have you. So it sounds like Major League Baseball is working out a way so that the umpires could be mic'd up so that once they go and review a play, they can come out and maybe give an explanation of what is going on. I can't imagine it'll be long-winded if they do that, but it'll definitely be interesting to see if it ends up happening, especially with some of the more lovable umpires baseball fans have.
Yeah, I gotta wait and see about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could only imagine though.
Yeah, it's also going to be interesting, especially like if you have somebody like, oh yeah, this person's out, and then they come storming at the umpire, a la George Brett back in the day, and cut the mic.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say the NSFW rule will be having to be taken into context. So I have to wait and see about that. Like I said, I don't know. Jury's still out for me about that one.
Yeah,
Coach, what you got?
I have football might be wrapping to a close. Basketball's kind of in a stalemate.
it's in its motions.
Huh?
It's going through its motions.
Yeah, basketball until the All-Star break, it is what it is. College basketball until March, snooze fest. But we have college lacrosse coming back to fill my void with football leaving. Kicks off or faces off Saturday, February 1st. No real games of note on the early season, unfortunately. Not like college football where you get that really big matchup, which is a little disappointing. But, there are some games thereafter. Syracuse kicks off the following weekend, February 7th. And then the following weekend, they will be going against our own Binghamton Bearcats.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
that will be something to look forward to. I hope Binghamton can keep it within 20. I don't know if they will, but we'll see. But it's a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Obviously, it's going to fill a void when football leaves. And not to mention the XFL is right around the corner as well. So for you people that are the football advocates that die hard and you need football year-round, that will be filled for you.
We will be previewing the XFL next week.
Oh, boy.
Lord.
In some, other than
Pat's reaction was not the same as Ken's here.
Yeah,
we were taken by surprise there.
Well, I figured we got to talk about something. That was gonna be my rounding the base.
I mean, I feel like the Super Bowl would probably be what we discuss next week, but okay.
We need something for the bases.
Well, I mean, we need something for segment 2.
Yeah. Well, no, what
are we gonna do? First half, second half?
No, because actually, how you want to bring this up kind of leads into my base.
Oh.
So obviously, next week we're going to be recapping the Super Bowl. The second segment, we have to give a preview for UFC 247 because John Jones will be fighting February 8th and leading that card. But we're going to save about that because my base this week, got to talk some MMA. UFC had a fight night, Fight Night 166 happened at the PNC Arena. Main event, Curtis Blades knocked out Junior Dos Santos in a heavyweight title fight.
Wow.
I went to bed. I couldn't stay up any longer, but I did watch the co-main event, which was fun. Yeah,
Michael Chiesa defeated Rafael Dos Anjos in a decision, and Chiesa immediately called out Kobe Covington.
Because of course he did.
But
why wouldn't he?
But here's the thing. Chiesa cannot do trash talk. Chiesa looks amazing at 170.
Yeah.
So that fight, let me just say, will be a wrestling match of epic proportion. When Chiesa does fight Covington, whenever he is cleared from dealing with Mr. Usman. So we don't know when he's coming back, and I'm not prying into that. So Chiesa wants to fight him. I'm all for that. And Curtis Blades is called out for a title shot. Obviously, with what's going on with Stipe Miocic, we don't know when he is coming back right now. So there's a lot of uncertainty about what's happening at the heavyweight division. Frankly, I think now you kind of have to give Blades a number one contendership match.
Yeah.
Maybe the winner of Ngannou's next match. I'm blanking on who he's fighting, but he is fighting somebody. Maybe the winner of that is a title eliminator.
I mean, the heavyweight division needs something.
Right.
Shot in the arm.
John Jones?
Well, it could happen because after 247, if he should defeat Dominic Reyes.
Well, there's nobody left, John, please.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to happen there, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But we're going to be covering that next week, along with maybe just mentioning during Round the Bases XFL. I just had to throw that in there, get the reaction.
I mean, normally we do 3 segments, Ken.
Hold a gun to my head. I can't tell you one player in the XFL.
Well, we'll find out next week.
Cardell Jones. Boom!
Oh, like how you did that.
Bam!
And also to tap off some MMA news, there was a Bellator card this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Which is noteworthy for Chris Cyborg defeated Julia Budd to make some history in the MMA world.
Okay. What's that history?
Cyborg is the first Grand Slam winner of winning titles in Bellator, Strikeforce, Invicta, and the UFC.
Well, nobody else is going to be able to accomplish that because 2/3 of those companies don't exist anymore.
Right, but still.
No, yeah, still noteworthy.
Is history noteworthy?
So she just went right in there and got a title fight, huh?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, obviously pedigree.
Pulling that weight.
Yep. Ended it in the 4th round by TKO, so, it is what it is. Congrats to Cyborg making some history, and we go from there. So, that being said, obviously, there's a big game happening this weekend.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You know,
Well, Pad's a little sad.
you might have heard about it.
No.
I'm all right.
No, I'm good.
So it is the Super Bowl. Pad, you got the breakdown?
Yep, so of course it is the Super Bowl 54. The San Francisco 49ers at 13-3, the NFC champions taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, the AFC champions who are 12-4. This coming Sunday, February 2nd, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Current lines as we record, Kansas City is a 1.5 point favorite, and the over-under is 54.5.
Oh, that went up. Okay. Interesting. So let me start off with reading some comments we had come in on the social media. Our listener, Dre, shout out to Dre, chimed in. I'm running with the Chiefs to win. Patrick Mahomes has 5 different targets he can throw to, and with Jimmy, if you can stop Kittle and Debo, who else is he going to throw to? Sanders is not reliable, but all in all, it should be a good game. Thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Hit it right on the head.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, no, I think he was spot on with that too. Pint of Comics chimed in. They were thinking Chiefs. Mahomes is otherworldly. That kid plays at a level I haven't seen before. Shaken Not Nerd chimed in and was like, I don't really know, but it's going to be a fun game to watch. And
That is also true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ghost of the Stratosphere chimed in. I hate the 49ers, but
Okay.
not as much as I hate the Steelers. And if the 49ers win, they make the Steelers less special for having 6 Super Bowls. So I guess the 49ers by default.
Cross the Y and dot the T and
Math.
carry the 1. Okay, I guess I could see that.
I'm going with that too. And
I hate the Cowboys who hate the Redskins who also hate the Niners. Right, yeah, all right, follow me here.
Yep, and last one to chime in was 3 hours later and said Chiefs only because I never hear the end of it from 49er fans. Can't go wrong with
Yeah.
I feel like you're never going to hear the end of it from any fan that ever wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know a few Niners fans that if the Niners win this, it's going to be a rough couple months.
Absolutely. So, Coach, let us hear your Super Bowl pick.
All right, so I have been going back and forth on this, and
Should note real quick, just on the I'm looking at the injury report, a couple of names on there, but the only one worth mentioning is Tevin Coleman, running back for the 49ers, is listed as questionable, and that is dated from the 24th.
so here's the thing. What are the 49ers good at, guys, offensively?
Short passes
Running the ball.
and running the ball.
You know, they did that very effectively last week. What did Kansas City just show you that they can do?
Shut down Derrick Henry.
Shut down Derrick Henry, who couldn't be shut down. So with that being said, I think the 49ers offense is very good. I think that they will get after Mahomes. I don't think that they're going to have the fireworks aren't going to run out down in Miami, okay? So I definitely see Kansas City winning this game. I obviously will take the points, and I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
All right, Pad.
No, I think it's going to end up being the Kansas City Chiefs because, it's like Coach said, Coach, who's their defensive coordinator down over there in Kansas
The
City?
brilliant, and I, again, can't speak highly of him enough, Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, so you look at what he's been able to do with enough prep time. You give the man 2 weeks and enough film, to fill the Library of Congress's, film vault to look at what the 49ers can do and what they've done. I think it's going to end up being Kansas City because it's like much some of those other podcasts have said. What has San Francisco really got on the offensive side of the ball that you got to worry about? Yeah, they got Kittle. Yeah, they got Garoppolo. But outside that, it's like, yeah, okay. I think the defense, Kansas City defense is going to be able to pull it off. And I think you flip it to the other side with the Kansas City offense. I think that is something that they have not seen or experienced this year, in terms of who they've played. Yeah, Russell Wilson is good, and yeah, Aaron Rodgers is good. But the video game-like no-look shovel passes that Patrick Mahomes is able to pull off, Rodgers and Wilson ain't exactly pulling off anytime soon.
Well, I mean, Rodgers might.
Yeah, he might. But no, I think it's going to end up being Kansas City. And you know what? I'll take the over.
So for me, I put some thought into this. And where I'm going with this, I have to agree with my fellow panelists. Steve Spagnuolo shut down Tom Brady. Tom Brady groomed Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo has had a great season, and so have the Niners. They have flown under the radar for a lot of teams because they're not flashy. You could barely name anybody on their offense other than George Kittle. It's not a slap in the face. It's just
It's reality.
It's a reality, and they're a team-first mentality. Their defense, led by Nick Bosa, is scary, downright scary. It's like John Lynch all over the field. I know it's a different position, but they hit hard. They're going to be knocking people on their tails. However, on the flip side, when Spagnuolo can take this defense that has always been the Achilles heel to Kansas City getting anywhere and make them into a comparable and effective run-stopping defense, and no bigger proof than they shut down Derrick Henry, who was running through people like the Hulk in the Avengers movie.
Yo,
the fact that you stopped him, you're going to be able to stop the running back of the day from the 49ers. Then you have to get into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes, who is Mr. Tecmo Bowl, Mr. Madden, 94, 95, 96.
Throw the fly route
Yeah.
high, and you're catching it every time.
Exactly. Travis Kelce, I expect to have a big day. Sammy Watkins could make an appearance.
I think that's the. Obviously he's a tremendous tight end, like, duh,
Yeah.
But I think he's the X factor that the 49ers defense won't be able to address. I think they'll be able to bottle Hill and Watkins and the receivers, but it's Kelce. That's the X factor.
Kelce, I expect to have a big day. I think the game is going to be closer, though, than everybody's saying. So I am actually going with the under, and I'm going to say 27-24. If I'm doing my math right, that's 51, so that is the under. I'm going to say it's going to be very close until the fourth quarter, and I think that's when Kansas City turns it on. I think Patrick Mahomes is ready to ascend to that level. Andy Reid is going to be partying like it's 1999, and he is going to be wiling out all over the place. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a fun game on Sunday. Definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. Get your picks in, too, because we'll have to compare and contrast because we're breaking down the game next week. But that's all for this week. So the music you heard on this week's episode, the beginning was Fair City Fire, but there is a little special announcement because during the show I got confirmation. Second Suitor will be here on the ODPH this week, so we're going to be closing with their song, I'm Not Listening. You can find out about all of the bands you hear on the ODPH, though, on ochoduroparlayhour.com/music. You can find about Second Suitor, you can find about Fair City Fire, Shout at the Robots, Floodlands, Walking Dances, all the great bands you hear each and every episode on the ODPH. You can also check out the ODPH directory, which has links to our fellow hashtag 607 podcast brothers over at 3 Fat Nerds, Horizon 607, 8122productions.com, which has the best Patreon programming for your dollar. Love is scary. Dare I say, Diesel is going for Dr. Drew. He has some stuff coming up I cannot talk about. He gave me a little preview. I can't talk about it. I'm not behind a paywall. Even if I was behind a paywall, I might not have enough money to cover what is getting discussed on that show. That is saying a lot, is it not, Pat?
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, if you want to find out about the hottest show behind the Patreon wall, go to 8122productions.com. Donate $1 a month. It's $12 for the year. You can hear everything going on there, especially the wrestling show, which the ODPH is co-hosting with Rich. So we're going to be having some more of the panelists going on the show in the upcoming months, and also some of our fellow podcast friends. So you can also go check out on ochoduroparlayhour.com Parlay Points, the complimentary blogs to the ODPH podcast. And you can find links to all our social medias and our hashtag podnation and hashtag NXTWAVE groups. Shout out to all those great podcasts. You can find our Podchaser lists on the front page. That's all I got for this week, though. So for your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
Good night, and hug your loved ones.
For the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you, Dante Scarnecchia, who retired as New England Patriots offensive line coach, and thank you for bringing 5 championships to Foxborough.
I'm your host, Ken M. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enough said. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. We'll see you next time.
I figured you out. You're crying on the floor. You do this to feel important. No one's ever listening. Is this what you're about? What a waste of potential. I never had the credentials to see who you wanted me to be. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll be just fine. Doing what I want and doing it all on my own time. Let's go! I'm not listening. choices again.
Placing distance between two us trying to mend.
Did you intend to try to make